In the pursuit of continuous success in the real estate industry, it makes sense to study the greatest and latest people who are achieving that continuous success within the field of selling. Selling is a transference of feelings. Everything we do leads to that sale. You are selling your ability to do the job. You are selling your skills on marketing, the reason why you're worth that value, and how you can improve the life of the customers and clients that you serve. Becoming a sales master is a journey, and this podcast is dedicated to the tech and technique of the real estate industry. Brought to you by Realtair, we'll be sharing each week great short, sharp stories that are actions and wins from the highest performing agents we've ever seen succeed in our industry. We tackle one major challenge, provide you with the solution and the steps that allow you to repeat the performance. And as they share that story, we want you to profit from their knowledge. Let's get started with this week's episode. Today's guest and tip is Mr. Brendan Stead from Elders, Port Macquarie. Brendan, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Lee.
Our coaching tip today with yourself is how you have gained visibility on all your listings, your stock, and what you need to do to move them over or progress them. Vendor management is such a critical skill right now as we have these very difficult conversations, and many of our agents are struggling to bring this all together. Brendan, what do you do here?
Yeah, look, that is very process-driven. For me, I'm a very visual person, so probably one of the biggest tools which I implemented from day dot, and I think Dave's now made that as a standard across all agencies. I've got a big whiteboard up on the board, I've got columns, and I've got properties I'm appraising or chasing is on my chase list. Yeah. And once they're signed, they move across to the signed component of it. Once they're live, they move into the live sector. And then that's where I focus on is what's live. Like this morning I got into the office and I went, okay, what's live? What do I need to do to get that stuff sold? And then it's working, okay, what am I chasing? What do I do to get it signed? So I've got that. Once it goes under offer, I've got an under offer column.
Beautiful. And then progressing it down the line.
Progressing it, yeah. They've all got little magnets. And they've got
so it's like the order.
And that's very visual for me, and it's just moving them across. And all I'm doing every day is looking at that board going, how do I get the magnet onto the next column?
Yeah.
So very, very simple. Once they enter my sort of board, it's progressing them along, and then once it's settled, and then...
What a great example of production line selling. We just got to keep the production line moving. How long have you been doing that?
Day one. I don't remember who I learnt it from, but it was back at previous before. I learnt it from... It's an agent down in Canberra doing a lot of business. I learned it from him. I'd watched a training video.
Very good. You know, we can't all stay motivated every day, but you can stay disciplined. And I think that's a really key learning of what you're doing there. Some days you can be looking at the board and you want to vomit, but the board's still going to be there. Yeah. And then you progress it down the line and you think, it's sold. Exactly. And that feeling of lifting the weight is actually how that whole psychology works.
It's good for a team too, because a team can see exactly where the property's at every point. It's probably not very technical advanced, but it's very, very practical. Yeah, it works.
And it's very, very emotional in the way of, when I say emotional, meaning, you know, the emotion of, okay, I've signed it and now I've got to look after it. And these people engage you to superglue yourself and, in your world, magnetise yourself to the property. And I love you doing that. How many properties would you carry in at any given time?
At the moment, it's sort of around 10 to 15. Yeah, that's the ideal. Any more than 15, it starts to get a little bit hectic. But if it gets much more than, 15 is a start to freak. I need to start moving some stock. 10's a comfortable level.
Yep.
So it's really good too, because you get those ones that start to back up and you go, okay, which ones, and a point when, there's periods where I've held 25 to 30 listings at one time, and that's when you start.
Magnets.
Yeah, got to go back down to office work to get some more magnets. Yeah.
I love it.
But that's when you can start categorizing and making columns within that live. Okay, what's can I sell in the next 30 days? What's needs work, and what's probably not going to sell? And they're those conversations you got to have with with the vendors and and maybe bring someone else on the team onto it. Maybe it needs a fresh set of eyes, but managing that, and that becomes a different skill set again.
I think it's just absolutely best example of vendor management ever. I love that things move down a pipe and it's visual. Otherwise, it's just a stack of data in a vertical spreadsheet that you can't help anyone. But just for our listener audience again, just take us through those columns. So column 1.
Yep. So you've got column is your appraisals and chase list.
Yep.
So they
Chip
will
and chase.
Yep. So your appraisals I'll write them on a texter just on the whiteboard. Once they become yes, we're thinking of selling.
They don't all get a magnet straight away.
No.
You've got to be assigned a magnet. Continue on.
You've got to be actually wanting to sell, not just an update. If their thing is selling in the next 6 to 12 months, they become a magnet.
Yeah.
Then they go there, and then I chase that. So you've got appraisals and chase list. Then they move to signed.
Yep.
So they've signed they've activated our services.
And that's with our digital signature and sign. Beautiful.
I can't remember the last time I did it on paper. But anyway, So you go from that, and then you go to live. So live on the market on our portals.
We are on the market.
There is an off-market, sometimes...
Off-portal?
Off-portal, off-portal, which can be under the signed
section.
section.
Like that.
But now we go on to live, then we go exchanged or under contract. And
what
then
a column.
settled. Yeah.
That must be like...
That's a good column, that one.
The solicitor just said, yep.
Yeah, and then you exchange, and then obviously once settlement comes, they come off the board.
Very good. Yeah. And that exchange to settlement time is your best chance of advocates. That's when you got to do the I miss you call and look for those referrals. But the fact you can even walk in and say, okay, I know I've got all those there, but I'm going to smash out 4 calls to these owners going to settlement. How do you feel? I actually love what you've just done there because it triggers your training, doesn't it?
It does,
If they're there, I know to say this, and if they're here, I know to say that.
Well, the important thing is when you pull a magnet off the board, it's settled. Before you throw that, or you clean the magnet, ready to go again, go back around. He's actually making sure that he's in the database, ready for its first anniversary call. Like before that happens, I make sure that all their details are updated, and they've got their first price update ready to be sent out, and I'm making a follow-up phone call, making sure everything's in place before that, gets taken off. So it's
I reckon you've made a lot of people's day today. And there's 2 types of working people. There's digital and analog. And you're good at knowing what needs to be digital. Price update gives me a notification, that can be digital. Like the magnet can't do that.
No.
Whereas for you mentally, I'm moving the property down the pipeline. That can't be digital either.
No.
That's that emotion part of it of, I'm looking at this thing for 15 minutes. I'm now going to ring the owner and say this. I don't want to drop the price today, but on the 15th, we're going to go to our next price. And I think there's something about that that's really important of knowing where you are and how you work. And I can see how you explain that. It's my system. I just know what to do. You're not looking for answers. You've got this nailed and you can repeat that performance. Final question for you. At this unscripted, he was allowed no questions interview, just tell us your life in one go. Brendan, the digital sale we brought in this year as a new technique, and the marketplace went through its transition. It's stabilised. We did a lot of work in all our Zooms to get our words right and so forth. And across the nation, not everyone took to the digital sale. It was like, nah, we'll go back to where it was. We don't have to worry about it. You looked at it different, and you started doing some time sales and timed auctions. Take us through that experience of learning, one, that technique and the technology, but what change it's brought about for you in your career.
Yeah, well, it's always fascinated me, and I'm excited to see where it even goes further, because for me, I'm looking at this as I'm going to be real estate for the next 30 plus years of my life. So I've got to be evolving and be ahead of the game and make sure that I'm still around in that period of time. It was especially at the time it came, you implemented it with the way the market was. Buyers were very frustrated. There's a lot of people were missing out. It became a very transparent way to do business. And I think in this world now, people love transparency. So for me, I could see it as a platform where it took a lot of pressure away from me as the agent, because you're receiving offers, the vendor, you're juggling a lot of things, and it's all happening at once, and you're getting 2 offers placed. You go into an open house on a Saturday, and you suddenly get 2 offers given to you. They're probably at the same level, same conditions. and say it's not an auction property or it is an auction property, the power of now is what the digital sale brings. So basically, I was giving them a link or a QR code. Place your offer online. You'll be told, or you'll be able to see where the other offers are at, etc. The vendor can see it live. It was an extremely transparent way to make sure that we were not only doing the best thing by the vendor, because buyers will obviously pay a lot more if they know that they're doing the right thing and someone else wants it as much as they do. There's also a lot of anxiety and pressure around a normal auction, which I was getting pushed back on, and I knew it was a market where people had to auction, because how could you price in a crazy market like we had? There's a lot of anxiety around that, but the digital and the online sale, or the timed auction, for example, took all that away, and we were able to
then...
It
took them off the lawn to virtual,
yeah.
So the owner... What, no one's going to be on my lawn with their dog? No.
That's right, exactly.
And the only people who can buy it need to register, so there's no one out the front.
Exactly. And you can also, you're not booking and tied into a date with an auctioneer too. If you've got 2 buyers ready to go now, why would you wait another 2 weeks? Mm-hmm. So it was ability to bring that forward. But yeah, the number one pressure for sellers is, the neighbour Betty down the road's going to come down with her dog and talk at bingo about how we didn't sell. So there's always that pressure. So I think...
there's a lot of bingo in Port Macquarie.
There's a lot of bingo, yes. Exactly. So look, for me it was just that transitioning. And now, we're doing a lot of the make an offer. So on all our brochures, we've got the QR code for someone to make an offer, just making it easy for people. Like if you look through a property and you go home, and I'm the same, like I don't really want to have to ring someone and make it, I'd rather just... go home, yep, that was nice, let's make an offer, scan a QR code, I might get notification at 6 o'clock on a Saturday night, that John and Sue have just made an offer on the property, making it easy for them, so they don't have to pick up the call. We've got to call Brendan, should we call him now? I don't know, is it too late? Wait till Monday, they have a barbecue on Sunday and their friends talk them out of it. So making it easy for people is, and that's I think where the digital sale comes in handy, is it covers all bases. From private treaty through to auctions.
Was it hard to learn?
Oh, no, not at all. No, simple. Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, I mean, once you get your head around it, but it's very simple. It's a very, very simple program to use, and it makes once you do one or two, I mean, there was a couple of agents in the office that took it on as well, and I sort of sat around with them for the first timed auction to show them, but they picked it up very, very easily. Yeah.
As we go into the next part of your career, mate, what's on the focus list? What do you think you will work on next, or what will you keep stable?
Yeah, well, the next year I'm putting on a third person in the team to help with a lot of the administration sides.
And that'll be a leverage agent?
No, so I've already got a leverage agent,
yep.
But the leverage agent's getting very distracted with the sort of administration side of it, and so what I'm doing is taking that pressure away from him, so then we can focus. So really my ideal team is having someone that can look after all the back end, and then having Samet, who's my leverage agent, to run alongside me as a second agent, just to make better use of my time, and then he can really make sure there's no leakage, run behind me and pick up on buyers that aren't interested in that particular property. He can then refer them to other properties or keep them there ready for when we list other properties. And then also a second point of contact for vendors and things like that as well. And eventually getting him into bringing his own listings on as well. And just building him as an agent to obviously one day future be an agent himself. Yeah.
So, mate, with the magnets, we might need some more magnets because the team's growing. And if somebody wants to work remotely, we're going to put a camera on the magnets wall. So I want to log in. I want to log into the system and see what's in there. But you know what? That is so funny that those cameras, those security cameras, that on your magnet wall, we've got remote access. That's right. I can see it, and there it is. That's where we're up to.
That's right, yeah.
But a great way of doing it.
Only way to make that digital, I think, because I've tried spreadsheets and it doesn't work. It's not as visual.
I'm telling you, I've seen this many, many times, production line work, and it's actually a thing called agile. And if you look at all the programmers in the world and all the technology companies, they'll have these swim lanes and they move the magnets or post-it notes. But I've seen multi-million-dollar days of engineers, like the highest... I was on a project once. It was $20,000 an hour. That's how much talent was in the room. And we're all on post-it notes doing this thing called agile. So you may think, I'm old-fashioned, I've got magnets. You're actually cutting-edge, agile, managing these properties, and it's a known, incredible skill of organisation. Brendan, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure, Lee. Thanks for having me.
For more information on the Realtair products, you can call Realtair on 1300 367 412 or visit the website. Thank you for listening, and I'll be speaking to you next week.